Joseph, are you with us? This is the Nighthawk. Can you hear us, Joseph?
Hello, Joseph.
This is the Nighthawk. We're having some technical difficulties trying to get our caller online.
We have a wonderful guest tonight. If we could get him on.
Do.
It's all about demons, and we might have to
give him a call.
I think I'm going to try to
the
call
old-fashioned way. The old-fashioned way, and that is on your cell phone.
I don't know how well anybody's going to hear it, but we will see.
We'll have to see how this goes. This is the Nighthawk. This is Guinea. And
Joseph, are you there?
hello.
Okay. We've got...
Finally.
I am so sorry.
Yeah, all right.
We've had a lot of guests on, and this is the first phone call meltdown that we've had. So we appreciate you calling in and being patient with us. Thank you so much.
Well, we are talking about demons.
You know, that was my thought. Are they messing with us?
This is the demons that are happening. We were having this at home also, and what was going on was we were trying to download music and it wouldn't work.
Yeah, we've been having a ton of technical stuff today. So thank you for calling in. We really appreciate you. I did get to do an introduction.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Okay, good. Was there anything that I missed that you'd like to add?
No, I think you got it all.
Okay. I know you specialize in everything paranormal and ghost hunting and demons in particular. You consider yourself a demon hunter, am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so let's start off because we didn't get a proper introduction. I'm Kelly Powers, and this is my co-host, Guinea.
I'm Guinea. Hello there, sir.
Welcome. Thank you.
Hello.
You for calling. So let's get into the interview. I mean, we're 30 minutes in. We've had technical meltdowns, and who knows what's going to happen from here on out. But
this has to do with the devil, I think.
It might be. So let's just start from the very beginning. You know, you wrote a book, and I had a chance to read through a lot of it in this past week, and it was very good, and it captured the audience. And you know, sometimes these type of books aren't they're hard to read, but I can tell you that your book, Demons, A Secular Look, it grabbed me and it kept me engaged. So what inspired you to write the book?
Well, initially I did not believe in demons, and like I said, I was a ghost hunter for a long time, and I had a friend that's in the book that was being basically killed by an incubus, a sex demon.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how I got started into it and started researching it, and then I had an encounter, and that's when I knew these things were real.
Yeah, I definitely picked that up from your writings. That's a big thing that you wanted the audience to grasp, is that it is a real thing. Demons are real.
Yes, I didn't want to just put a bunch of facts and figures in there. I thought the best way to do it was to chronicle what happened and how it happened.
Storytelling.
So people can see what it's really like, you know,
sure,
when these things occur.
So can we go back a little bit? I like to give our audience, because we're just regular folks out here in Santa Cruz, California, and not everybody is.
And the Monterey Bay.
And the Monterey Bay, and not everybody's a ghost hunter and experienced. So tell us, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Lansing, Michigan, the capital of Michigan.
Okay. And then you had, obviously, your parents were there. Did you have siblings?
Yes, I have 2 sisters.
Okay. And were your parents in this field, or what'd your parents do?
Well, back in those days, if you talked about ghosts or you talked about anything of that nature, it was frowned on.
They,
You know, you were
they'd put you in the nut house, huh?
yeah, basically yeah. So if you did anything, you did it underground.
Got it. Got
Or
it. So
and then after,
go ahead. I'm
yeah.
sorry. I didn't mean
I
to
was just saying,
interrupt.
after Ghost Hunters came out, I think in 2004, that kind of changed everything, and people started, listening, and then, the whole thing started with all this paranormal stuff.
Sure.
But
Sure.
prior to that, yeah, they think you're nuts if you talked about UFOs or ghosts or anything like that.
Yes, I agree with that. And, there's been an explosion with, just going back to like the movie Paranormal Activity. It was such a mega hit that I think it took a lot of this to mainstream, to where people didn't quite frown so much upon it.
Took away a little bit of the stigma.
The stigma, correct.
Yeah.
So tell us, what kind of training, how does one become a paranormal investigator or a demon hunter?
Well, back in the day, like I said, the only person that I was aware of was Hans Holzer back in the 60s. And he was on a lot of talk shows, and he wrote a lot of books. And I kind of started reading those to kind of get a flavor for what this was all about.
Okay.
And back in those days, we did use psychics and 35 millimeter cameras and reel-to-reel recorders, all that kind of stuff.
So what time frame? When was this about?
That would have been in the late 60s, early 70s,
Got it.
around in there.
So you've spent pretty much your entire life doing this.
Yeah, I've been doing this stuff since I've been about 7 years old. I just have a fascination with it and always have. And
I think you're braver than I am. I've always been fascinated. In fact, I make my husband watch all these exorcist movies, and he gets scared his pants off, and he's looking around. But I think I've been too chicken to kind of actually dip my toe in and do what you're doing. So my kudos to you.
Well, I would, if you saw what these things were doing to children,
Sure.
And senior citizens and people that are virtually helpless, I think you would stick your toe in that water.
If you had to, right?
Yeah, if you had to help them out.
Trial by fire, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
So is there a lot of people that deal with demonic possession? Is this something that's common?
Amongst people in general, or people that hunt them?
Well, and people in general, like how often does this happen, do you think?
Well, I got 8 active cases right now that just came in the last week. And some are in New York, I had one in California, and I got some around Michigan. So we average about maybe 3 cases a month, maybe a little bit more. And
it sounds like
been,
you travel around, so you get all around the country. So you do even come to California.
No, I don't have to do that. And if I can, I will. But no, we don't have the budget for that. So if I do any traveling, it's within my own state.
Got it. So
and most of it's down in Detroit, where the high populations are, or Grand Rapids.
Okay. So do you think that people, so say they've dealt with possession, do they recover from stuff like this? Is this something that once they've been possessed, or do they actually recover and end up with a happy life? I mean, because
what you have to understand is possession is temporary. It's not permanent.
Okay,
it's a temporary thing. Mm-hmm. And yes, the people that we help, once we get rid of these things, their lives go back to normal. All the things that was happening to them, negative, all stops. You walk in the environment, it's very, very homey and warm, and
so
where before it was
you get the
very
cleansing,
heavy and dark.
So when you go in, like you said, you're feeling that it's dark and heavy, and after the cleansing, it's light again and happy, and you can feel that in the environment.
Yes, once you get rid of that, yes, it is that way.
So what is, just for our audience so they know, what's the difference between like a ghost or a poltergeist and a demon? Are these one of the same entities, or are they completely different things?
They are different things. I can't really address the poltergeist. I'm still looking for a very good explanation of what that is, because what it is doing is way out of the realm of what a ghost can do. A ghost is a deceased individual.
Okay.
And the thing is that a ghost can only do what they do in life.
Right.
That's what they do. So they can't go out and pick up a car.
Yeah.
Because couldn't do it in life. But a poltergeist could do something like that. They could lift tremendous weight.
So have you ever dealt with a poltergeist or not yet? That was what you were saying.
Not yet. I've been waiting for that opportunity, and I've yet to find it.
Got it. And you obviously have dealt with, even I really encourage everybody to pick up Joseph Stewart's book. Like I said, it's called Demons, A Secular Look. I picked it up on Amazon. Is there another place that you prefer people to pick up your book?
Not really. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
You just look for it, you'll find it.
Got it.
So, Joseph, I have a question for you. What's
Yes.
the difference? So in your book, it's called Demons, A Secular Look. Can you explain to people what you're meaning by a secular look?
Non-religious.
Non-religious base? Okay.
I mean, the field has been dominated by the Catholics for a long time. They've done fantastic work with it.
Right.
And everything that they pretty much said is true to a point, and they just don't carry it far enough. But when you're dealing with these things, you can't take on a dogma that could get you in trouble or even get you killed, because you're not looking at all aspects of what the demon is, because you're limited by the dogma. So you have to take a secular look. And I deal in all religions. I deal with people that have no religions, all walks of life. So I have to be very open-minded and look at everything.
Because demons, they can basically come from different, parts of the world, correct? Like there's like Japanese demons, and so if you're approaching, what are they called from Japan?
Oh, I don't know what their name is for them in Japan.
Well,
there's like from India.
Yeah, there's different demons from different areas, and what I'm wondering is if you're approaching something like that from like a Catholic standpoint, like they wouldn't react correctly. Am I right?
Yes. What you're saying, well, what happens is where the religious part comes in is that you have to understand that when a demon is taking possession of you, and it will do it off and on until it gets very good and very well connected to you. Mm-hmm. It's changing your brain chemistry. Like when you listen to music, it changes your brain chemistry.
Okay.
And when you take up a religious object of your faith, it stimulates your brain that it starts breaking that connection. That is where the religion comes in.
Got it.
And I always ask people when I go in, what is your religion?
So if they are of a certain religion, do you go at it more that way?
Yeah, I'll tailor what I do to their religion. If I'm working with the Muslims, I'm working with the jinn.
Sure.
But they're still demons.
They're all the same.
So do you think that there's more demons out in our society now than there has in the past?
Well, they coexist with us. So I would say that I think it's always been the same. It's just that the way things are in this world today, they seem to create a feeding ground for them. It's made it a lot easier for them to do what they do.
Is that because the veil's thinner now, or do you think the veil between demons and us is the realm is thinner?
No, it's not that at all. They're predators, and they're always on the move and always looking for some, like a lion looking for a weak or a sick animal in the wilderness, and that's what they do. So, yeah, you could call them in, definitely, but you don't have to. If you just happen to be in the right state, in the right situation, yeah, they can take advantage of you, and they will.
And they will. And so they
Yes.
obviously are feeding off of pain and misery and
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, there's a lot of energy there
Sure.
that they're feeding on.
Well, is that like
I mean, you should, when you're around them, you get very, very drained. It takes me like about 3 days to recover after an encounter.
So how long will an encounter typically, like if you go in or just something in the past, how long would you be fighting something like this? Would it be days?
No, no. Once they go in and determine what is going on in the environment, then the next step is to get their names and get the count, how many there is. Demons travel in gangs,
Right.
with the exception of the sex demon that is all on its own. And once you have that, then I would do the process of binding. And that's just depending on how many demons are involved. It's like an hour at most.
Yeah, because I had heard it was I think an interview that you had given in the past, and you were talking about how they kind of travel in packs. So
Yep.
if you're dealing with possession, that you have typically about 5, attached to you at one time.
Yeah, the smallest number I've had is 2, and the biggest number I had was probably, I think, about 17.
Wow. So how long did it take for you to recover from battling 17? That must have been pretty brutal.
Well, I've got it down to a science right now, and with the protection and speed of doing what I do, if you delay, you're going to get hurt, because you are summoning them to yourselves one by one, and then binding them to an inanimate object is what you're actually doing.
So what do you think they actually are? What is a demon?
Well, originally, after I've been doing this for a while, I've come to the conclusion that we're dealing with a higher dimensional non-human entity.
Okay.
It's mostly intangible. And because of that, they, in their basic form, if you saw them, they would look more like an amorphous black smoke, because they don't take any kind of shape because of the dimension they're in, and your brain isn't capable of seeing what they are.
Right.
Then they can read your mind, and they create a hallucination. What you see is a hallucination, whether to entice you or scare you.
They're trying to create emotion, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, fear is a great controller. That's their main one that they do is fear.
Okay. So do you think that one entity can possess multiple people at the same time?
Not at the same time. As I said, they do multiple people, but it's only a temporary thing.
So
it's,
they'll jump from like one to the next.
Yeah, kind of look at it this way. They can't really do that much in our world, so they use us like puppets when they get control of us to do the things that they want to do.
And what do you think that is? Just cause misery?
It could be a variety of things. I mean, with the serial killer, they can influence them to kill.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just a tremendous variety of things that they can do.
So do you have any maybe ghost hunts or demon hunts or anything that are really memorable that you want to tell our audience about? Anything that stands out?
Oh boy, there's lots of them. Well, I could tell you about an incubus case that we just did here about 6 months ago.
So before you go, what is an incubus for the audience?
An incubus is a sex demon.
Okay.
And this one preys on women. And what it does, it's usually there's a physical place where it resides. It could be a home anywhere in the world, actually. And it attacks a woman and attaches itself to her. And then from her friends, acquaintances, it will branch out and attach themselves to those women too. In other words, it has a connection to them.
Wow.
So it basically builds a harem of women. And then it just visits them and drains them, using sexual energy as to feed itself. And that's what it does by raping them.
So that's what you hear, the stories about women being sexually assaulted by an entity, basically. So
and
it's an
an
incubus.
incubus.
Okay.
Exactly.
So go on. You said you had a
Case on
case,
this.
yeah, that you recently did.
Yeah, this was a woman that was divorced from her husband. She decided she really wanted to get back together with him. And what she did, she tried a variety of things, nothing worked. So she got a hold of a witch doctor, whatever you want to call him, over in Nigeria. And he'd put together a love potion, which is basically, it was some sort of bracelet she had to wear, and she had to take a bath in this particular soap, and then she'd put like this oil on her every time she'd get around her husband to make him fall back in love with her.
Wow.
And she spent like over $4,000 for this stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, unknown to her, and I don't think even the witch doctor or whatever you want to call him, shaman, whatever, I don't think he even knew that there was an incubus attached to that. Wow. So when it arrived, the incubus arrived with it.
Yeah.
So after a couple of days, she was doing this stuff, and things started happening, and she started, I think one of her first encounters that she was, started feeling like something was watching her, and she had a 2-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son at that time, got them to bed, and she was taking a shower, and she noticed that the shower door was like fogging up, and she realized it was frost.
Wow.
It wasn't condensate, it was frost. And then she saw like something like a breath, like on a cold day when you breathe, right, you can see your breath coming over the top of the stall door. So she immediately turned the shower off, opened up the door. There was nothing there. So she went to search the house, didn't find anybody there. She went to bed. She's laying there. And all of a sudden, she felt the presence in the room. And this thing approached her from above. And she knew it because it blocked the window when it came over top of her.
Right.
And then what usually happens is they feel a euphoria. This is what it does to them. It changes that brain chemistry, and they get this euphoria going on.
Right.
And then eventually it just raped her at that point.
Wow.
And since that kind of left side of the brain seems to go to sleep and the emotional side is hyper, and it feeds on that type of thing. Well, this thing was raping her on a regular basis.
Wow.
She was in a panic. She went to some medical physical store trying to get help from anybody that could help her, and she was saying, "You don't understand. This thing's raping me. I got children." And
well, they probably were ready to check her into the
to
behavioral BHU. I mean, something like this attacks you. You get to Western medicine, and they're not too open to, sending in somebody like you to actually help them.
I used to work with psychiatrists back in the day. But yeah, so what happened is, we had our number there, so they gave us her number, and we went there, and she was a nervous wreck. She was on the verge of just losing it completely.
Wow.
And so we're trying to get her emotionally in control. And while we were there, it was present. We knew it was there. We could. It was occupying her bedroom.
Yeah.
And so we had acquired its name just by being in the environment. And I brought my materials to do a binding. And I had another person with me to help me out with that, which we would do in the basement. And the young boy was scared because he had seen this thing, and like this tall, dark man that was standing in the hallway all the time. Scared him. And the little girl was almost like a zombie. She wasn't, the 2-year-old with the endless questions or any of that kind of stuff. Sure. She just stood there and just stared into space all the time.
Like lethargic.
Interesting. Yes. So, Joseph, we have to take a short break, but we want to hear how you did the binding. So can you hold those thoughts for a second, and we'll be right back.
What do you think? We will return shortly, so pay attention and listen up.
This is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and I would like you to listen to a couple testimonials from my patients about our new TRT machine.
I got knocked down by a horse and I got a grade 2 pull on my hamstring. I was walking stiff-kneed on one side because it was so painful, and my other knee started hurting me. And then I stepped off a ladder and jammed my knee. At the same time, I found out about the TRT from the doc. Now I can bend my knee and walk. I totally recommend this one time, and you'll just go, whoa.
You don't realize how much you use your toes for balance until there's no feeling in them. And so I've got the feeling back in my toes, and my balance is greatly improved. Definitely recommend it.
So call today for your $49 introductory special on the TRT machine to see if it works for you. Call 831-459-9990. 831-459-9990. McCollum Family Chiropractic.
Tired of monkeying around with broken sprinkler heads and smelly lawnmowers? Weeds and dry patches make you scream, growling over your decision to put a plant the size of an elephant in the space the size of an African hedgehog? Navigating your way through the maze of gardening and landscaping options and maintenance for your home or office really is enough to drive anybody wild.
Hi, I'm Randy Quilici, owner of Quilici Gardening and Landscaping. If anyone knows it's a jungle out there, it's us. We've been offering complete maintenance and landscape installation for residential and commercial properties since 1982. It's easy to let things get overgrown and out of hand and keep putting off adding that special water feature you've wanted for so long. Let us help by taming and shaping your landscape into something you'll be proud of. Call me at 425-5269 or visit us at QuiliciGardening.com.
Quilici Gardening and Landscaping, because without them, it really is a jungle out there.
Hi, registered pharmacist Ben Fuchs here. I've been studying healthy bodies for 35 years, and what I've got to tell you may shock and surprise you, but if you listen up, it may change your life. I got a call from my CPA last week. She had just been diagnosed with breast cancer, one of the scariest health challenges a woman has to deal with, and a disease that affects 1 out of 8 women. Next to skin cancer, it's the most common cause of cancer in women, and nearly 3% of them will die from the disease. Breast cancer is the quintessential fat tissue disease. The breasts are composed of up to 50% fat, and the fat-draining system known as the lymph is often involved in the development of cancers of the breast, too. The fatty tissues of the breast are also ideal storage depots for cancer-causing toxins that it can accumulate in the body, especially if it's being bombarded chronically or if the detox system in the liver is being overloaded. When you understand the fatty nature of breast tissue and breast cancer, it makes sense that leveraging the nutritional benefits of fatty vitamins E, A, and D can play a significant role in prevention as well as mitigation of the damage and minimization of the risks associated with the formation of tumors of the breast. Research scientists from Rutgers University showed that vitamin E from vegetable oils could prevent cancer formation and growth in animal models. Vitamin A derivatives are essentially pharmacological chemotherapy for cancers. Scientists from Thomas Jefferson University demonstrated that precancerous cells not only began to look more normal when exposed to vitamin A, their very genetics changed back to normal too. And according to doctors at the University of San Diego Health Center, breast cancer patients with high levels of vitamin D in their blood were twice as likely to survive the disease as women with low levels of this important immune system boosting nutrient. Pharmacist Ben here, urging you to go to kscohealth.com to order Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Healthy Start Pack, and other nutritional supplements that I personally use and recommend. You can purchase these premium quality products at wholesale prices online at kscohealth.com. That's kscohealth.com. I'm the pharmacist that believes that staying healthy and strong is not only about medicine, it's about giving your body the raw materials it needs to do its work. Go to kscohealth.com. Make sure you check out the cool videos too at kscohealth.com. That's kscohealth.com.
You are listening to the Nighthawk on KSCO Santa Cruz. This is Nighthawk Radio. We're on an express elevator to hell, going down. Nighthawk Radio. KSCO Santa Cruz. We are your hosts, Jeannie and Kelly Powers. This is Nighthawk Radio.
Welcome to the Nighthawk.
Welcome back, everybody.
I'm Guinea.
And I'm Kelly. This is the Nighthawk. And we have Joseph Stewart on. He is a demonologist, and he specializes in everything paranormal.
And it's been really amazing to hear the interesting things even about the incubus story. And then, Joseph, can we have you finish the story on how you did the binding?
Yes. So I had my wife with me, who is psychic, and she can communicate with the demonic. And we were in the room, the bedroom. The woman was just beside herself. She could hardly function, and the thing was laughing and laughing, and it said, "You can't do anything about her," and it told us that its next target was going to be the 2-year-old girl.
Oh, so did it communicate with your wife psychically?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's telepathic.
Right.
It can read your mind.
Right.
It can read your mind, which makes it very difficult to deal with something that can read your mind, know what you're going to do.
Sure.
So, so what happened is I had the name, and then I got my part, and I says, go down in the basement and clear an area, and I'll go out and get my material. As I was walking, I stopped in the bathroom, and I was standing by the mirror, and I saw this black amorphous smoke appear behind me, and the next thing I know, it's just slammed my face right into the mirror.
Wow.
And
so it physically grabbed you and slammed you.
Right. It was almost like like you put two magnets together, of the same pole.
Sure.
It was felt kind of along those lines, and I was close enough to the mirror. It didn't break or anything like that. So it was getting very aggressive with us, and we did go down. We did do the binding and called it by its name. It had to come, and we bound it to an inanimate object. Once that was completed, then we came back up, and the whole place just totally changed.
Wow.
It was nowhere there was no presence of it anywhere. The little girl all of a sudden started acting normal and started talking and asking questions, wanted me to take her into her bedroom to show me all these things that she has, so
all her toys.
It all went back to normal.
She was a child again.
Pardon?
She was a child again.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So how did you connect the love spell? Did she tell you all that and you're like, oh, that's obvious where it came from?
Yeah, you could. I had all the stuff, and you could. The energy was there. That's it. Didn't start until she brought that into the house. Prior to that, nothing was happening like that.
Wow.
I mean, this woman was being raped on a regular basis.
So
endlessly.
So an incubus is a sexual demon.
Yes.
So besides an incubus, what other kind of demons are out there?
Well, you have the succubus, which attacks men.
And what is a succubus?
It is a sex demon that attacks men.
Wow.
Rapes men.
Horrible.
Seduces men. It does the same thing. Its style is a little different. With the incubus, it does create a euphoric state before it attacks. And with the succubus, it actually paralyzes you. Like you'd be laying in bed, and the thing would walk into the room, and then all of a sudden you would be paralyzed.
Whoa.
And then it would have its way with you.
So,
and then I have what I call malevolent demons, and these are garden variety demons that most people are dealing with. These travel gangs. And then there's one other demon, which I just encountered one just recently. I call it the genocide demon. This one just kills. They're very rare, but they are around. And what this demon does, this thing looks like, well, the way it's appearing, if you want me to talk a little bit about the genocide demon.
Sure.
What it does, there's a coven of witches that I've helped in the past. And they're the ones that contacted me about this thing. And what it looked like, the vision that they were getting of it is, it looked like almost like a crab. It had like a flat face, but it had hind legs and feet like a person, but the rest of the body was more like a crab. And its appendages come down to a point. And what it was doing is it was pulling people like off the pier, off boats, people that are swimming, and would pull them underwater and drown them.
Whoa.
Now what it was doing after it did that, they were telling me that they trapped those individuals that became ghosts, if you want to call it like a collective souls, however you want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was doing. It was holding them prisoners. And there was people that went all the way back, as far as they could see, at least to the 1800s, of these people that are under its control, that it has imprisoned. So that is a genocide demon. They're very rare, and I will be binding that one fairly soon, now that we have all the information I need.
So that one's still active?
Oh, yeah. It's still active, yes.
Interesting. Well, so as far as your ghost hunting, I mean, I know you do more. You get into UFOs. I read about your Bigfoot encounter, which is definitely very interesting. We just had a Bigfoot episode with Jeffrey Meldrum last week, which was great.
Oh, yeah.
And so any ghost stories, because I have a love for Victorian homes, I think, kind of like you do. And any ghost stories or hauntings that particularly stand out?
Nowadays, some of the groups I used to work with down in Detroit, it became more like commercial. They just want to go to places like prisons and things like that. It's just for the thrill of it. They weren't really working in residential areas like I was, trying to help people out. Try to help them understand what was going on, find out what was in the environment.
Yeah, because really the goal should be to help the people that are being tormented by whatever it is.
They're not. They just go in and some of them collect data, but they don't always share it with the person, and nothing ever gets resolved.
Got it.
And so as time went on, I started doing rescues. Are you familiar with that?
I am not.
No, what is rescue?
Yeah, basically what you do is that a ghost is very obsessive, and there's a reason they're there, and you have to find out what that obsession is and kind of ground it in reality. To give you an example, I was called in by a woman a couple years ago in her 60s. She lived by herself, and she used to bake for her grandkids. And her baked goods started getting stacked or hidden or broken. And she couldn't understand what was going on. And she said this one room always, she really felt she just didn't want to be in there. It was just a very heavy feeling. So we went into that environment, and we found out there was a ghost. There was a woman that had died in the 80s, a grandmother. And she was waiting for her grandkids to come. She had no idea she had died. And basically what I would do is, once I established communication with them, we showed them that, looking at the room, is this your bed? Is this your drapes? These pictures, these paintings, is this all your things?
Hey, because Joseph, we have about 10 seconds and we have to go to a hard break. It just sends us there. Can you hold that thought just for a minute? We'll get our commercial in at 9 o'clock and we'll be right back.
If something is said with which you disagree, please let us know by writing to us at comments@KS.
You are listening to the Nighthawk on KSCO Santa Cruz. This is Nighthawk Radio. We're on an express elevator to hell, going down. Nighthawk Radio. KSCO Santa Cruz. We are your hosts, Jeannie and Kelly Powers. This is Nighthawk Radio.
Welcome back to the Nighthawk. This is the top of the second hour. I am Guinea.
And I am Kelly Powers. Welcome back.
And we are on KSCO AM 1080 Santa Cruz, Monterey, Salinas, San Jose,
and beyond,
and Watsonville, and beyond, and possibly down under. We've been having some serious technical difficulties tonight.
Yes.
And we think there might be a demon in the house.
I don't know, but I'm not going there.
So let's
Good thing we have Joseph online.
Yes, we do. Joseph.
He is here. There he is.
There you are.
There I am.
So, it's been one of the strangest shows we've had, because I'm telling you, like, anything that could be not working
is gone bad.
Is not working. And it started at home, prepping for the show, and coming into the studio, it
followed us.
It just followed. You know, KSCO it was built in what, the 40s?
It was built in 1947 by the RCA company as a radio studio that was built for this actual, what we're doing right now.
Yeah, for
talking
talk radio.
on the radio.
And for music.
And for
all
music.
That. But supposedly KSCO does have its own resident entity. I have not seen it.
But I've heard about it.
Been told. So maybe he's the one that's been messing with us tonight. So
it's hard to say.
we appreciate all the patience from the viewers and from Joseph Stewart. Thank you again.
And our Nighthawk listeners, thank you for listening in through the troubles.
Yes, thank you. So where were we? We were talking about
Ghost rescue.
Yes. Go on. Sorry to cut you off.
All right, so like I said before, ghosts are very obsessive. There's something they obsess about. And so the process was to kind of ground them in reality, because they see things the way they used to see them. And this ghost woman I think she was in her 80s, she realized that things had changed, and she was very confused and very upset. And with time, we started talking about her moving on, and she finally realized that I says, why are you here? I mean, you're living in your closet of your bedroom that used to be your bedroom back in the day. And this is your existence.
Did she stay in the closet, or did she move beyond that?
Usually ghosts, the time they move most freely is at nighttime. There's not a lot of people around. At nighttime, during the daytime, they usually like to go to a place like an attic or a closet or a furnished room, someplace that people are not going to be. Okay? That's usually the way it goes. That's why a lot of times when I used to do ghost hunting, I always went in the afternoons, because it didn't take me long to locate exactly where they were at by doing it that way.
Do you find that ghosts come out more at night?
Yeah, they're more active at night.
And why do you think that is?
Less people around.
Okay.
So they don't want the interaction with people.
Well, I mean, you're standing there, and if you walk it through them, I don't know if you ever had an experience doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just sit back and they just observe, and they try to find a place where people there's not active. Like we had like a child that was being bothered by a ghost, and come to find out there was a young teenager that was killed in front of the house. And it walked into the house looking for help, but he was dead, and he didn't even know it.
Right.
And he occupied the upstairs and it was a storage room that the woman had at the time, and that's where it was staying during the daytime. And so what happened is when she had her son, she put him in that room, and then he started getting harassed by this ghost.
She locked him in the room with the ghost.
Yeah, that's where it hung out all the time, because it was a closet or a storage room.
Like Beetlejuice.
Well, I don't know about Beetlejuice, but maybe. So I mean, you have so many different stories that go right. Have you done any international travel, or does your experience stay mostly in the U.S.?
Well, I've done demonic work for Ireland and Scotland and England and South America, Colombia. So let's see, San Salvador.
Anything
around the United States.
Anything noteworthy in any of those countries? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, Ireland was an incubus.
Okay.
Let's see. San Salvador was an incubus. That was a nasty one, too. It was very powerful. A lot of times, I guess what we run into is what I call generational demons.
Mm-hmm.
So the demonic infestation would start with maybe a grandparent or a great-grandparent, and it just follows the siblings, throughout the ages. And I get a lot of those types of cases. I got one right now.
So that was a question I was going to ask. So do people have these type of attachments and possessions and they're not aware of it?
Sure. Especially if you grow up in the environment, you don't know any different.
It's just
you
what
don't
you're
grow up
used
in a
to.
normal environment.
Okay. Well, so what about objects? Do you ever run into,
Oh, yes.
Possessed objects?
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure everybody's familiar with like the Annabelle stories, and so what do you do with that?
Houses, could be any kind of a lot of time it's musical instruments, pianos, beds, some type of furniture.
What do you do if it's a whole
if you
house?
have well, if you can reason with the ghosts and get them out of the house, you can do that. Otherwise, they're stuck there. They can't go anywhere on their own.
Right.
And it's like being stuck in a dream. They just, there's no sense of time to them as well.
Well, right. Time's not the same for them like
No,
it is
and they're
for
very,
us.
very, very confused because they have all the desires of a human, but they can't express it because they don't have a physical body.
Okay.
And then that brings up a question that I brought up to some of my psychologist friends was, here you have a ghost and you're dealing with it, maybe doing EVPs and stuff like that. It knows who you are. It recognizes you. It talks about past events. My question is, if it doesn't have a physical brain, how is it storing that information? How is it accessing it?
And what
Where
was
is the
said?
personality attached to?
And what did your psychologist say? Or psychiatrist say?
Well, that there's more to us than just, this physical brain.
Right.
There's much more to us than that.
So do you find ever that some of these hauntings are like loops, maybe events that have happened that are kind of replaying? I don't know what you would call that.
It's usually called a residual haunting.
Sure.
So basically, it's just like it's just recorded and it just plays back at particular times. It could be vocal, it could be smells, it could be an apparition, and usually it's always at a particular time,
right?
And it doesn't interact with you. If it's like an apparition or something, it wouldn't even interact with you. So that is something that's just stored in the environment and plays back.
Okay.
And usually where you have those residual situations, a lot of times the place is haunted already, and that's kind of what stimulates it.
Yeah, I found it interesting in your book. You talked about the what were the ones from the Game of Thrones? I'm sorry, I'm hitting a blank. I need to open your book.
Oh, the wildlings?
Yeah, the wildlings. They're kind of like pets to demons. How often do you run into something like that?
Well, the first time I heard about it was through some of the Catholic material I was studying, and they talked about these pets that these demons had, these demonic, monstrous pets. Now, these pets are not intelligent like a demon is, and religious artifacts, anything like that, doesn't work on them. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I had to run into is what my wife, Dorinda, had called a wildling.
Okay.
And I have a picture of it in the book.
Yeah, I saw it.
And this thing, it travels in a pack of like maybe 3 or 4.
So there's multiple.
Okay. Yeah, it's like a little wolf pack, or more like coyotes, because coyotes travel in smaller packs.
Right.
Not like wolves.
Right.
And it's always the only time I ever encountered them is when I'm dealing in the Asian community. That's where I don't know why that is. I haven't run into them any other place than the Asian community.
So that's where you find wildlings more, is in the Asian community?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
In the Asian community, that's where you find the most wildlings?
Yes, I do a lot of work with the Hmong. In Detroit, we have a lot of different cultures.
Sure.
And I worked a lot with the Hmong, and that's when I first encountered them, is there. And it always starts, if I'm doing a binding or something to of one of those demons, I'll hear a quick, like a whistle, like a shrill, 3 quick shrill sounds. And when that happens, that's when they show up, like they're calling them in. And then I'm stuck out there wherever I'm doing this thing, and these things, nothing works against them at all.
It kind of reminds me, I had a very weird experience many years ago to where, you know how you're dreaming, but you're awake. And
Sure.
there was some kind of little entity that was running around my room, and it would hold me down physically, like I could not move. And it was, I could only describe it as almost like a little gremlin, like, and it was not friendly. And I remember I made myself this was like a very vivid dream, or, I told myself to wake up because I was terrified because this thing kept holding me down. So it kind of reminded me of the wildlings, but it doesn't sound like that's it because, this was intelligent.
Yes, that's true.
So, any questions you can think of, Guinea?
Oh, yes. So how would you protect yourself from possession or demons getting into you? What's something to protect yourself with? Do you wear a rosary? Do you
say some prayers?
Yes, what I did is I tried in the beginning. I had no idea what they feared.
Right.
And I was seeing a lot of contradictory things, like in the book I was talking about, where we had the cross and the demon told us that that's not going to protect you.
Right.
The holy water is going to protect you. And the woman that had all that, she was wicked. She wasn't Christian.
Right.
So that made sense. So what I did is I started marking myself up, like using like those dry erase markers. And I would use different symbols, use Christian symbols, whatever, and just go into the environment and see by trial and error how much damage I got, what worked, what didn't work. And the only thing that I found that worked every time was the eye of horse. They seem to have a fear of the eye of horse.
Really?
I don't know why, but it works.
Interesting.
Yeah, because in your book you talked about being physically harmed and broken ribs, correct?
Yeah, I've been bruised. I had broken ribs, dislocated knee, dislocated elbow, burns, scratches, all kinds of stuff.
So have you ever been thrown across the room?
Well, he got thrown into a mirror.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, minor stuff like that. My wife was literally picked up off her feet and dumped on her behind.
Wow.
And that was the Ohio Dark Man case that we did.
So what about the Pontiac house? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, this is what got me into it initially. And Jason and Brenda were living in that house, and she had bought the house, and she told me how she just had this strange attraction to it. She didn't understand it. Mm-hmm. And that's when all things started with the rapes taking place from an incubus.
Right.
And usually there's a couple, husband and wife, a boyfriend and girlfriend, the incubus will separate them. For some reason, they start sleeping in different rooms, different beds. And this was going on, and he thought there was night terrors taking place. And at that point, he was already into another room. And then all of a sudden, he heard another voice talking above her screams.
Wow.
And that's when he realized this is real.
Yeah.
And he ran in there trying to save her. Well, what it did was it was making him very sick because he stood up to it. And so what happened is they had parted ways, and she moved out of state, but she was selling her house. And she asked me, would you please go in there and find out what's going on in this house in Pontiac? So I said, sure, I'll look at it, because they had it up for sale.
Yeah.
And she just wanted to make sure that nobody would get harmed.
Well, yeah, you don't want to sell a house that is, I know it happens in the movies, but most people are caring people, and they don't want to give the house that's got, some crazy entity in it. So that was kind of her.
And so at the time, I didn't believe in demons, and I just thought it was just,
And you
night terrors,
were a
things of
ghost hunter at this point, correct?
Oh yeah, I've been a ghost hunter for years.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I could have run into a demon. I just wouldn't recognize it because that's what they do. They hide. They don't want you to know they exist.
Then you can
Usually
see
when you have ghosts that are little kids, that's your first clue that you got problems. They like to take it on that kind of guys. But
they take on as little kids, or they like to
they can make themselves look like children.
So
and
you
that's
trust
what happened
them.
with the Annabelle thing was
Sure.
that type of
Sure.
situation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well,
So do you find that more historical homes are haunted or cursed or have demons in them than other ones, you think?
It's about the people, not necessarily the homes. But there are some homes where demons will reside, and if you're unlucky enough to move into a place like that.
Do you think that's because things happened in that home that caused there to be a demon there, or do you think that would...
I don't know what happened prior to her, but she was drawn in, and that's what they do. They're like, consider them like spiders. They're sitting in their little nest. They got all this webbing out. They got all these women connected, and they keep drawing in new victims. And I've seen this over and over again, where they would draw you in. And this is what happened with her. And it happened to reside at that location, too. It wasn't just visiting her. It was there with them at that time. And there was a tremendous amount of electromagnetic energy in that house. And we had thought that possibly that the ground was bad on it. The electric's coming in, but it was checked out and found out everything was fine.
And you measure that with your tools, correct? You have like EMFs and stuff that measure.
Yeah, I did have a team come out, and Detroit team, and they came out, and they finally just called it because they just said there's just too much electrical interference. We can't do anything. And that was like my third trip out there.
Wow.
So on the first trip, so we went in, and I couldn't get into the house. I would unlock. It was up for sale, so they had that little lock box out there with the key.
Right.
Every time I unlocked the door, it relocked itself. And I thought, okay, somebody's got to be in there doing this. I did this like for 30 minutes trying to get it open. And then it threw the deadbolt, and I don't have a key to the deadbolts. And I remembered he gave me another key, and I went around the back, and I got in through the back. Meanwhile, the psychic that I worked with, I decided to call. I was going to do this on my own. I decided I better take somebody with me because there's something strange going on here. So she'd been there. So for some reason, she drove on by the place in the fog, got lost in town. It took me almost an hour to get her back to the house so that we could start our investigation.
Is that the one where she kept having car problems? Or that must be a different one, where you were waiting for I thought it was a psychic to come, and she kept thinking there was something wrong with her car.
Yeah, no, it's not. That wasn't the one, but that's the same person. That's later on in the house that the incubus had finally taken over.
Right.
Because we basically booted it out of the Pontiac house, and it ended up into the house of the people that owned that house initially.
Okay.
So, anyways, we're walking around, and the psychic's saying and she didn't know anything about what was going on, the history of it all. And she said, there's something here, but it's masking itself. I can't see what it is. It's not talking. And if you know anything about ghosts, a lot of times they're very busybody. They're always making comments. So, you pick up on them pretty quick.
So it was unusual that it was hiding.
Yeah, it was hiding itself. It was masking itself.
Right.
So we're standing in the bedroom where this woman lived, and she says, something is coming from the ceiling and attacking this woman. There's a woman that's being attacked by this thing. And I'm standing with her, and she had this, I think it was like 14-inch iron crucifix with a Christ figure on it. It was like a twisted iron.
Yeah.
And she had it flat in her hand and was holding it. And all of a sudden, I said to her, all of a sudden, one of the hands that was welded on, broke off. She just holding it in her hand. Broke off, fell to the floor. And I'm like puzzled. What was that all about? How did that happen? And then right at that moment, I said, this sounds like an incubus. As soon as I said that, it was like somebody really cranked up the energy in the room.
Wow.
And she went into a panic. And she's saying, I can't believe you figured it out. I can't believe it figured it out. It's going to kill you. It's going to kill you where you stand. And as she was sitting there talking to me, all of a sudden I saw like a different kind of face. It just kind of flashed on top of hers, which startled me. And we were on the upper stairs. There was like a little banister that went around like a hallway. And he said, it's going to throw you over that banister to the floor below. That's what it's going to do. And at the time, my sense says, no, you're going to stab me with that thing through my heart, an ironic death. So I calmed it down. We told it, we're not here to harm you. We're just here to look for some ghosts, da-da-da. And then it calmed down, and it was very talkative at that point. And it says, hey, why don't you come down into the basement? I want to show you something.
No.
And I'm like, that ain't happening. I'm not going in that basement.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And so we go downstairs to the main floor, and the psychic was telling me about an encounter she had with the demon. And the thing was down there with us, and it got super excited. At least she's telling the story, all the things that it was doing. And I was looking at her, and I says, where is it? And she says, it's right behind you. So I had my camera going. I turned around real quick, hoping to catch something on the camera, but I didn't catch anything. And anyways, this thing kept telling us, go into the basement. Go into the basement. And I thought, okay, that must be a stronghold. I mean, there's electrics coming down there. It must be feeding off that. So I'm not going down there. And I told her, she says, things are going to happen, bad things. We need to get out of here. Come back with a team that we can really look into this. And so all of a sudden I'm sitting there packing up my stuff in the kitchen, and there's a little landing that goes down the back door and then the stairs to the left. She comes walking through the kitchen as if she was in a daze or like a trance. And she started walking towards the landing, and she literally started falling downstairs. And I was just barely able to grab her by the collar and pull her back in the kitchen. And just as I was doing that, we saw this like black smoke, and it started forming into what we call the black shuck, like of the British Isles.
Right.
It's I have a picture of it in the book. It's got like bright, burning eyes. You could smell its breath. You could hear its breathing. You could hear it creaking the stairs that was coming up for us. And I pulled her to safety. And as soon as we did that, then it dissipated. It was gone. So I assumed, okay, well, what are we dealing with? Like a hallucination or something? And she was in a panic. She was yelling, it knew, it knew, it knew. Well, she originated from the British Isles, and she knew about the black shucks. And she said it knew about it, and it generated that hallucination. And she says, she told me when she was falling forward, she thought she was leaning back into the kitchen when she's actually going the opposite direction.
Wow.
So that was the very first encounter with that. And a lot more happened. It's all in the book.
Joseph, yes. We need to take a short break.
That'd be our
Hold
last
that
one.
thought. We're going to play a few commercials. Here we go.
What do you think? We will return shortly. So pay attention and listen up.
Dwell on Truth is sponsored by
the True Love Christian Music and Arts Festival.
Let's show our community true love. We have a lot of cool bands. We have Kukua,
Here I stand,
Preparation Worship, Rock by Faith, Unknown Survivors, Green Valley Christian Worship, Picking for Jesus, Celebrate Recovery, Teen Challenge Choir, Boulder Creek Worship, Dunamis Rhema.
Won't you come and worship Him?
Welcome. Clay pottery on potter's wheels, art gallery, gunny sack races, cowboy, hopscotch, and mechanical bull. 3 bounce houses, food, ice cream, all free for the whole family.
Community resources, baby clothes and products, climbing wall, face painting, free for all ages. The True Love Christian Music and Arts Festival. July 20th from 11 to 5 o'clock, Aptos Village Park. Please come.
In Africa, 5-year-old Chiru has no choice. She and millions like her must walk miles every day for dirty water. But together, we can end their walk by providing clean water close by. Instead of spending hours walking to get water that makes them sick, girls can be in a classroom that expands their minds, and moms will gain back time to care for their families. Sons and daughters can grow up strong, finally free of sicknesses caused by dirty water. At World Vision, care about clean water runs deep. Deep enough to reach one new person with clean water every 10 seconds. Because every child, every person, everywhere deserves clean water and the chance to rise to their full potential. It's true. When you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org.
Leave the lights on for this Coast to Coast AM.
What's it like growing up with the paranormal? I'm George Norrie, and join us on our next program with Grammy Award winner Jason Halbert, musical director for Kelly Clarkson, and his wife Rhonda, as they talk about true tales of the weird and strange on Coast to Coast.
And remember to lock the door, too, when Coast to Coast AM is on.
You gotta maintain to retain big quality roofing. You gotta maintain to retain big quality roofing.
My name is John Stanfield. I'm the chief engineer at Firestone Business Park, the 2,200,000 square foot building. Maintenance is very important. We have 20 tenants that rent space from us. A lot of them are food grade products, so you need a watertight roof for food safety reasons. I work with Bay Quality for going on 30 years now. Very easy to work with because if there is warranty work, he has a crew respond right away. It frees up my time that I don't have to sit and babysit somebody.
You gotta maintain to retain big quality roofing. You gotta maintain to retain big quality roofing.com.
Ed Robertson inviting you to join us for the next edition of TV Confidential, Sunday morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. here on KSCO AM 1080 in Santa Cruz. And as always, we'll take you behind the scenes of your favorite TV shows and introduce you to some of the people who helped create your favorite TV memories. That's TV Confidential every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. on AM 1080 KSCO. Listen and be heard.
Hi, registered pharmacist Ben Fuchs here. I've been studying healthy bodies for 35 years, and what I've got to tell you may shock and surprise you, but if you listen up, it may change your life. Your bowel has a brain of its own. It's known as the enteric nervous system, and it's been called the second brain by researchers, but given the inability of the brain in our head to override intestinal instructions, it might be better designated as the main brain. It's composed of a complex network of nerve cells similar to the ones that make up the 3-pound computer in our cranium, and it's responsible for coordinating the crunching of food with muscular movement of the digestive tract, as well as secretion of digestive juices. In addition to the role it plays in choreographing the various functions involved in the processing of food and absorption of nutrients, this second brain responds to emotional and mental experiences, which can then in turn either suppress or improve digestive functioning. Like the central nervous system, this digestive brain depends on hormones to do its job, none more important than serotonin. In fact, the vast majority, up to 95% of this mood-stabilizing substance, is actually located in the gut, some of it made by resident bacteria or probiotics that live in the intestine, making these microbes an important source of natural, non-toxic mental and emotional health medicine. So now, along with improving digestive health and nutrient absorption, you have one more reason to get on a good probiotic supplement. They're nature's own gentle, multifunctional Prozac. Look for a product with multiple types of bacteria and 10 or 20 billion units per dose. And you can give your bacteria an extra boost by eating probiotic-rich fermented food like sauerkraut, miso, and kimchi. Pharmacist Ben here, urging you to go to kscohealth.com to order Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Healthy Start Pack, and other nutritional supplements that I personally use and recommend. You can purchase these premium quality products at wholesale prices online at kscohealth.com. That's kscohealth.com. I'm the pharmacist that believes that staying healthy and strong is not only about medicine, it's about giving your body the raw materials it needs to do its work. Go to kscohealth.com. Make sure you check out the cool videos, too, at kscohealth.com. That's kscohealth.com.
This is the ZBS Radio Network.
You are listening to the Nighthawk on KSCO Santa Cruz. This is Nighthawk Radio. We're on an express elevator to hell, going down. Nighthawk Radio. KSCO Santa Cruz. We are your hosts, Jeannie and Kelly Powers. This is Nighthawk Radio.
Welcome to the Nighthawk.
Oh, we lost
This is Guinea.
And this is Kelly Powers. Thank you for tuning in tonight and bearing with us.
We've had a few little technical difficulties, but what we have to say is this is live radio, and we powered on.
Yes.
The Nighthawk is interviewing Joseph Stewart. He's the writer and
he's a
paranormal.
demonologist. Yeah, he's a paranormal investigator
And demonologist. And his book is Demons.
A secular look.
And the book is very interesting. It talks about how to protect and save people.
Yeah.
And to protect yourself.
That's been a big thing for him, is it hasn't just been about going out and getting video and being an on-screen ghost hunter. Joseph has really spent his life working to protect and keep people safe, and to help them when they're encountering stuff like this. So let me see if I can get him back on the line because, like I said, things are acting a little weird tonight.
Yeah. Joseph is very interesting. Like stories about the incubus and the different demons.
Black Shuck.
The Black Shuck, which is
It says it's a hellhound.
a hellhound. So I'm not sure who is the ruler of hell, but it could be someone horrible.
Yeah. Joseph, are you there? Yes, I'm here. Oh, he is back.
Joseph is back.
Thank you.
So, Joseph, I have a question for you. And the question is the devil controlling these demons?
No. I don't find anything like that there. And I talk about it in the book. They are independent. They work on their own.
Just bringing misery around the planet.
Yeah. They prey on us. I mean, basically, they're higher up in the food chain than what we are.
Right. So let me ask you. I know you like I was saying before you came back on. You've spent your life working to help people. This isn't about getting out and getting the clips and loading them online. Like you're out trying to
save people.
To save people, because this, like you said, these entities can be fatal for a lot of people. So. How do you differentiate between somebody dealing with mental illness and actual possession and or some kind of spiritual entity that has come in?
Yeah, that's a good question. The church, Catholic Church position is that if they are diagnosed with any kind of mental disorder, they drop it at that point. No possession taking place, nothing of that nature. Well, that's not true.
Right.
What happens is that these people are in a state where they're weak, and it makes them open to demonic attack, especially some of the drugs that they put them on.
Well, right.
And when you get into the book,
we have such a problem with methamphetamines, and that gets people in this very bizarre psychosis. So, yes, go on, continue.
Right. That's what I meant about the culture today is very, very open to this because of the variety of addictions and things. You're opening yourself up for attacks. But mentally, like if I go into a situation and I find out, like, I've had a couple schizophrenics or, bipolar is very common.
Right.
And I used to work with a psychiatrist at the University of Michigan. Mm-hmm. He had an interest with this because he saw something in schizophrenia that made him think there was another intelligence there.
Well, because sometimes
And,
schizophrenics will see so say you have two people using the same type of methamphetamines, they will see the same things. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. So basically what I do is I find out what it is, what they've been diagnosed with, and then what kind of drugs are on, what's their dosage. And then I used to confer with the psychiatrist that would say, okay, what they're experiencing here could be due to this drug or it's not due to this drug, that type of thing.
Right.
But yeah, I have helped people. Now, when I get rid of the demon that these people that have a disorder, does it cure them? No, it doesn't cure them. It may be less. The demon takes advantage of it and exasperates the situation. It's what happens.
Sure.
So, yeah, it's a difficult one to work with.
Well, yeah.
And a lot of times these people are victims, and they get that mentality. And, the best exorcist is yourself.
Okay.
That's what you have to empower them to be able to handle it and to, getting rid of these things. And keeping them away.
Giving them the tools to fight back, get themselves healthy, and onto a better way of life. Because obviously, when you're in these kind of dark places, that opens you up. I would imagine. So tell us about. I was reading about the one. The demon peeper in the bathroom. I mean, you have a really cool illustration. It sounds like there was a hidden face in the wall.
Let's see. Kelly, show me
Yeah,
the
that
picture
was the woman that was involved was an 85-year-old woman, and she was having heart issues, and she was very psychic. She was actually practiced. She was like a nurse and a psychologist, I believe, in California, and then she moved here back to Michigan. So she had called us in, and I was with a different group of people then. I was just basically starting out doing this. And this thing would leer at her as she was like in the shower. It would like, if you can imagine, like the wallpaper, like pushing out in the face. The wall would blow out in this face type thing.
That sounds like a horror movie I've seen.
Yeah, it's very much like that.
Yeah.
There was all kinds of things going on in that environment. And I remember that I had done some EVP work. And we picked up a lot of strange EVP. And they were, a lot of it saying to get out of the house, get out. And so I was sitting there in this, she had a very nice place. And we were in this little sitting room. Mm-hmm. And I was playing the recordings for her, the EVPs. And I had my psychic with me, the one I was talking about earlier in the Pontiac house.
Right.
And as I was playing the EVPs, it was one of the demonic. And all of a sudden, it showed up. And we're sitting in this room, and all of a sudden, the door just like blew in. We had it shut. And both me and the woman got knocked into a couch. I mean, you could feel the force just push you into the couch.
Wow.
The psychic didn't get touched. She's off to the side, and it's kind of taken over her. And it said to me, it says, those little trinkets you got didn't protect you, did it? And so we started to counter the attack and immediately left and went down into the basement area where it was staying. And the woman was, I thought she was going to have a heart attack. We were about ready to call 911, and she says, no, I'm okay. And so she wanted to go down and get some sage in that. So I went down to get some incense and sage, and she followed me down. The thing was in the corner. You could see the rippling in space, like you could see something moving. And she stood right there, 85-year-old lady. She faced that thing down.
Wow.
And it was all I could do to get her out of there, to get her back upstairs to safety.
She'd had it. So, she was sick of being peeped on in the bathroom, obviously.
Yeah, she was a very strong woman. Yeah, she took care of it. I mean, we took care of it, but it was...
So what do you recommend for people that are encountering, stuff like this? I mean, obviously you're in Michigan, but can they reach out to you? Maybe you could forward them to somebody locally?
I have no, there's nobody else that does what I do.
It's you.
So
Yeah,
how could
I
they
mean,
reach you?
The Catholic Church, for the most part, will not come out and do any kind of exorcisms. It's a long, drawn-out process.
Yeah.
A lot of red tape, and so these people, they get very. It's sad, I go to a lot of Catholics in their homes and help them out with this, and the church won't help them, and it just you can just see the sadness and the lost look on their face, as we do help them out to get rid of it. And I even asked the church, can you please at least go there and cleanse the place now that these things are gone? But they won't do it. At least the areas that I'm in.
I had a house that I dealt with that there was activity at this house, and there was a lot of death that had happened and violently. And when you were there, you knew, you could feel it, like it was hovering. And anybody that dealt with this house, they would lose everything. Like they would go broke. So there was something there that we're not really sure, but actually the Catholic Church did come out and they blessed the house. And this is in Santa Cruz, California. But I will tell you,
it got worse.
It got worse. It got a lot worse.
Yes, it does. When they go in and they do their house exorcism or cleansing or whatever it is, and the demon's there, believe me, a couple days later, it's going to raise, all kinds of bad things.
It very much did. It very much did. So, Joseph Stewart, he is your website is the Society of Demonologists, correct?
Yeah, .org.
.org.
That's where they can. Yeah, that's where they can contact me. There's a little thing that you fill out and just give me a quick little rundown, like I need help and the phone number and that type of stuff.
And I highly recommend you guys picking up his book. I really, we hope you will come back because we will have our systems working properly. Maybe we need to get a sage cleansing in here before we have you on next time. But I would love to have our audience interact with you and be able to call and have some questions. So his book is Demons, A Secular Look, and his name is Joseph Stewart. Like he said, there is nobody like him out there, and this is his specialty. So, any other stories? Anything else you can think of? I mean, I see something called a Ypsilanti. Is that how you say it? Demon?
Ypsilanti. Yeah, that was a case there. But I have something that maybe your audience might be interested in. And this is a gentleman in Missouri. I knew his father, and his son was under demonic attack. And after we got rid of the demons, I asked him, I said, for the book, would you write the highlights of what the demonic control, how it happened? And just real quickly, this is what he stated. He said, I started noticing an extreme paranoia. Everywhere I went, felt like someone or something was watching me. I went to work, and I was constantly looking over my shoulder. At home, while in bed, I couldn't sleep because every time I closed my eyes, it felt as if someone was getting closer and constantly staring at me. When I did finally sleep, I would wake up during the night because of the intensity of this feeling. It was almost as if this paranoia was taking over me. I started noticing anger, and I don't mean like I was upset. I mean the amount of anger that makes you want to fight anyone and everyone. Later, the anger turned into an absolute rage and hate. Pure hatred of everyone around me, from my girlfriend to my parents, my brothers, the people at my job, everyone. Then I started having horrible, sickening thoughts. Thoughts such as ripping someone's throat out, tearing their heads off their shoulders, knocking my girlfriend downstairs and bashing her head off the floor till there was nothing left of her face. All of this to hear her scream and to watch them suffer. These thoughts soon turned into flashes of me doing all these things. And now, not only could I see it happening, but I could hear the screams of pain and torture and complete suffering. And the worst part of all these flashes is, as though it was terrifying me, it also brought me great joy. I had never forget those screams and sounds that I heard. Next came seeing the entity. Among everything else, it began seeing a black mass. I couldn't explain what it was beyond anything I'd ever felt. Pure evil, absolute hate. I was driving home from work, and the first time I saw it, I was sitting in the passenger seat, staring at me. I couldn't look back. I was petrified. The next thing I knew, I was parked on a gravel road, and it was 2 hours later. I don't remember what happened. There's an example of possession taking place.
Wow. Were you able to help him?
Oh yeah. I got rid of what he had. Yes, he wrote this afterwards for me. How it all started.
That's an incredible story. I mean, how it just takes over and takes a person that doesn't, normally have violent thoughts and just completely their mind is taken over. That's crazy.
So hopefully he didn't do anything horrible, did he?
No, I don't think so.
No, he actually he countered it by going out and going to the gym and physically working out really hard for hours on end to tire himself out. That's how he controlled it till we were able to get rid of it.
I mean, what a smart guy. He fought back with getting that aggression out through physical fitness.
Yeah, that took a lot of courage and a lot of strength.
Absolutely. Wow.
What an amazing story.
Well,
thanks for sharing that with us.
Thank you. And again, everybody, this is Joseph C. Stewart. He wrote the book. It's called Demons, A Secular Look. I highly recommend that everybody goes out and gets this. It is eye-opening, and it's a fast read. I think you guys will all enjoy it. If you are dealing with anything like this and you need help, reach out to him. He is a Society of Demonologists. He is in Michigan, and it is a .org. So tell me the website name again.
Society of Demonologists with an S.org. That's the site.
Great. Yeah. Feel free. Reach out to him. So we are about at the end. Anything else you want to add before we finish it up?
Not short amount of time, no.
Okay. Well, please, Guinea, do you have anything else you want to ask him before
we would love to have you back on our show. If you could give us a little bit of time, and then we'll reach out to some of our viewers, and then we want to recap some of the episodes and talk about what happened on our show. We'd love to have you come back.
Yeah.
If you would like to.
Sure.
I agree.
I'd be happy to.
Well, great.
I'd be happy to come back.
Well, thank you, Joseph. You have a wonderful evening. Maybe we can book you back. We're working on a Halloween extravaganza month, and I think you would fit perfectly in there. So maybe we can get you in there.
During October.
Okay.
Well, thank you, and have a wonderful evening. This is the Nighthawk, and we will talk soon.
Thank you, Joseph.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, Guinea.
That was pretty amazing.
I feel like you start getting into these really heavy topics.
Right.
And you can feel it in your chest.
Yeah, it's almost like scary.
It is scary.
The stuff
terrifying.
that he's telling you about is scary.
Well, and I think there's so much misconception with stuff like this that a lot of people just kind of blow it off and, whatever, that's not really happening. But when you talk to people like Joseph Stewart, he has physically been scratched and, knocked into mirrors and dealt with people that have struggled with this.
Right. And how many people out there does stuff like this happen and they don't tell anybody?
Exactly.
Or they end up being diagnosed bipolar or schizophrenic, and it could be a demon attached to them.
Well, right. I mean, you're talking suicide and,
yeah, people commit suicide over this kind of stuff.
So, Nighthawkers, please bear with us. It was a little bit of an interesting night tonight. Definitely wasn't as expected. The interview was wonderful, and Joseph is a wealth of knowledge. If you guys want to contact him, it is the Society of Demonologists, plural.org. He, like I said, he is not looking for a ghost hunting video to upload onto YouTube. He's wanting to help people and anybody that's struggling with anything like this. So, Guinea, I thought for now we should at least talk about
our Tuesday.
Yeah, what we have coming up.
What's coming up Tuesday? the Nighthawkers really want to hear, Kelly. Can you let us know?
Yes, I'm trying to get to the paperwork, but this whole thing is a mess tonight.
Can you wing it?
Well, we have Diane Kaiser coming on Tuesday, and she is everything that has to do with health. If you are struggling with autoimmune disorders, even to cancer and just basic health, listen in. This is going to be a fantastic interview. She has been featured all over, the world, and people come to see her, and I'm telling you, you guys want to hear this interview. She's going to be fantastic.
She is phenomenal. I've heard her on several
I've been working hard
podcasts.
To get her on, and her people are good. They're very well organized, and they mean business. So I think you guys will enjoy that
listening
episode.
in.
I can't find my paper of what's coming. So then after that, we do have Dave Allen's Bigfoot guy. We have Kawani Lapercititis. He's going to do a 2-part. So he'll be on the 18th, and then he'll be back on the 23rd.
And he is a psychic Sasquatch.
He is the psychic Sasquatch. And then after that, we have booked on the 6th of August, we have the Angry American, and he will be talking about everything to do with being prepared, natural disasters. He'll talk geopolitical. We will get into a lot of topics with Chris. So
he was on Alone, wasn't he?
He was on, I believe it was the first season of Alone. So he knows how to survive. He's a survivalist.
Whoa. Where was he at? In Alaska?
I have to rewatch the episode before he comes on.
Whoa. We're going to have to check that out.
Well, thank you.
Well, how was your week?
It was okay.
It was okay. It was very...
It was a little
very
chaotic.
busy and chaotic.
Yeah, it was chaos.
Well, Nighthawkers, thank for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in.
I am Guinea.
And I'm Kelly Powers.
And this is the Nighthawk on KSCO AM 1080, Santa Cruz, California.
This is Santa Cruz, California. We have about 20 seconds, so...
And we're going to take a short...
We're going to listen to it.
CBS Radio Network.
What do you think? We will return shortly. So